She's scrolling past your name in her phone right now, not calling, not texting, just looking. And there's this weight in her chest she can't quite name. It's not anger anymore. It's not even confusion. It's something quieter, something that creeps in when the house is empty and the distraction runs out. She told herself she'd move on. She told her friends she's fine. But late at night, when no one's watching, she's wondering if she made a mistake. And here's the part no one talks about. Regret doesn't show up all at once. It doesn't knock on the door and announce itself. It comes in stages, slow, layered, undeniable. And if you're sitting there wondering whether she even thinks about you, whether walking away meant anything to her, whether she's out there living her best life while you're stuck rebuilding yours, you need to understand what's actually happening on the other side of that silence. Because this isn't about hoping she comes back. This isn't about manipulation or games. This is about understanding human psychology so deeply that you stop questioning your worth based on someone else's reaction time. And if you're the kind of person who's done with the shallow advice, the quick fixes, the feel-good lies that leave you right back where you started, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button right now, not for me, for you, because choosing to be here means you've chosen clarity over comfort. And that decision alone puts you ahead of most people still stuck in the cycle. Let's be honest, most of what you've been told about no contact is either incomplete or flat out wrong. You've heard it makes her miss you. You've heard it gives her space to realize what she lost. You've heard it builds attraction. And sure, all of that can be true, but it's not the full picture. Because what no one explains is the internal journey she goes through when you actually disappear. Not the performative kind of disappearing where you're still liking her posts or watching her stories or leaving breadcrumbs. The real kind, the kind where you're genuinely gone, where your energy, your attention, your presence, it all evaporates. And that absence, it triggers something primal, something she wasn't ready for. Stage one is relief. Let's start there because this is where most guys lose their minds. You go no contact, expecting her to panic immediately, and instead she seems fine. Maybe even better. She's posting more, she's out with friends, she's smiling in every picture, and you're sitting there thinking, she doesn't care. This was pointless. I should reach out. Wrong, dead wrong. Relief is not indifference. Relief is the first reaction to the end of tension. Think about it. If the relationship ended with conflict, distance, resentment, arguments that went nowhere, then the immediate feeling after the breakup is released. She's not carrying that weight anymore. She's not trying to fix something that felt broken. She's not walking on eggshells or managing your emotions or wondering why things don't feel right. That pressure gone. And yes, that feels good for a minute. But here's what you need to understand. Relief is shallow, it's surface level, it's the emotional equivalent of finally putting down a heavy bag. Feels amazing in the moment, but it doesn't mean she doesn't need what was in that bag. It just means her arms were tired. So when you see her living her life, posting, laughing, moving, don't interpret that as her being over you. Interpret it as her not yet realizing what she's actually lost, because she won't. Not yet, not in stage one. She's still riding the wave of freedom. She's still convinced she made the right call, and your job is to let her. Don't interrupt this stage. Don't text her. Don't try to remind her of the good times. Don't fish for validation. Let her have her relief, because what comes next, she's not ready for. Stage two is distraction. Now she's filling the space aggressively. She's saying yes to everything. Girls' nights, new hobbies, gym sessions. Maybe she's talking to someone new. Maybe she's buried in work or school or travel plans. The calendar is full, the phone is busy, and from the outside, it looks like she's thriving. But here's the truth. Distraction isn't healing. Distraction is delay. It's the mind's way of avoiding the actual emotional work, because if she stops, if she sits still, if she lets herself feel the weight of the choice she made, it's going to hurt. And she's not ready for that yet. So she runs, not physically, emotionally. She keeps herself so occupied that there's no room to think about you, no room to miss you, no room to question anything. And this is where a lot of guys break, because they see her moving on and they panic. They think, if I don't do something now, I'll lose her forever. So they reach out, they send the I've been thinking about you text, they try to re enter her life during the exact moment she's trying to forget it. And all that does is validate her decision to leave because now you've proven that you're still stuck, still needing her, still unable to move forward without her attention. You've just made yourself smaller in her eyes. And worse, you've interrupted the very process that would have brought her back because distraction doesn't last. It can't. Humans aren't built to run forever. Eventually, the noise dies down, the calendar clears, the new stuff stops feeling new, and that's when stage 3 arrives. Curiosity. This one's subtle. It doesn't announce itself, it's not dramatic, it's just a thought, a small one. I wonder what he's doing. That's it. That's how it starts. She's not crying, she's not texting you, she's not even sure why she's thinking about you, but you're there in the back of her mind. And here's why. Because by now, enough time has passed that the intensity of the breakup has faded. The anger's gone, the frustration's gone, and in that absence, she starts to remember the good parts. Not because she's romanticizing the past, but because memory works selectively when pain decreases. The hard stuff blurs, the soft stuff sharpens. She remembers the way you made her laugh, the way you listened when no one else did, the way she felt safe, the inside jokes, the random Tuesday nights that didn't mean much at the time but somehow meant everything. And now she's curious. She's not ready to admit it, but she wants to know if you're okay, if you're thinking about her, if you've moved on. So she checks subtly. Maybe she looks at your social media, maybe she asks a mutual friend, maybe she drives past a place you used to go together just to see if the memory still hits. She's testing the waters, but she's doing it quietly because she's still not sure. And this right here, this is the stage where your silence becomes power. Because if you're still visibly affected, if you're posting sad quotes or looking miserable or clearly stuck, she feels nothing. She feels confirmed. But if you're genuinely different, if your energy has shifted, if you're building something, growing into something, becoming someone who doesn't need her validation to feel whole, that curiosity deepens and it moves her into stage 4 concern. Now, it's not just, I wonder what he's doing. It's, why isn't he reaching out? This is the stage where the silence starts to feel heavy because she expected you to chase. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. Most guys do. They can't handle the distance. They crack. They send the drunk text, the birthday message, the I miss you confession. And she was ready for that. She had her response prepared, but you didn't. You stayed gone, and now that absence is louder than any message you could have sent. She starts to question, did I not matter as much as I thought? Is he really over me? Did he find someone else? And that last one, that one stings because up until now, she's been operating under the assumption that she's irreplaceable in your life, that no matter what, you'd always be there waiting, hoping, available, but you're not. And for the first time, she's realizing that maybe, just maybe, she's replaceable too. That thought is uncomfortable. It challenges the narrative. She's been telling herself that she was the prize, that you were the one who needed her more, that leaving was the power move. But power moves only work when the other person stays in the game. You left the board, and now she doesn't know what that means. She's concerned, not because she wants you back yet, but because your absence has shifted the balance, and she didn't expect that. She didn't expect you to be fine or worse, better. And that realization pushes her towards stage 5, nostalgia. This is where it gets emotional, really emotional, because now she's not just thinking about the memories, she's feeling them. She hears a song you used to listen to and it wrecks her. She sees a couple doing something you used to do and it pulls her under. She's scrolling through old photos, old texts, old everything, and she's drowning in what used to be, and it's not logical anymore. It's visceral. It's that ache in your chest that no amount of distraction can fix. Because nostalgia isn't about the past. It's about the absence of the present. It's about realizing that something you once had, something that once felt so normal and easy and consistent, is gone. And you didn't even know how much it mattered until you couldn't have it anymore. This is the stage where she starts romanticizing the relationship. The hard part, she's forgotten them. The reasons she left, they don't seem as big anymore. All she remembers is the feeling, the warmth, the safety, the version of herself she was when she was with you. And she misses that. Not because you were perfect, but because that version of her life felt whole. And nothing since has filled that space. Not the distractions, not the new people, not the independence. And now she's starting to wonder if she made a mistake, not out loud, not to anyone else, but quietly, privately, in the moments when she's alone and the truth is unavoidable. And if you're still silent, if you're still absent, if you've genuinely moved into your own growth, that nostalgia becomes something heavier. It becomes stage 6. Regret, this is the big one. This is the one that changes everything. Because regret isn't just missing you. Regret is realizing that she lost something she won't get back. It's the sinking, suffocating understanding that the door she walked out of might be closed now. That the version of you she left behind isn't the version that exists anymore. That she didn't just lose you, she lost the future you could have built together, the experiences you won't share, the life you won't create, the love that could have deepened but now never will. And that hits differently because up until now, she's been able to comfort herself with the idea that if she really wanted to, she could come back, that you take her back, that it wasn't permanent. But your silence says otherwise, your growth says otherwise, your absence says otherwise. And now she's sitting with the possibility that she fumbled, that she let go of something real because she was confused, scared, or convinced the grass was greener. And maybe it was for a minute, but now that minute's over and the grass looks pretty dead. She's regretting the timing, the way it ended, the things she didn't say, the effort she didn't give, the version of the relationship she could have fought for but didn't. And this regret, it's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's quiet and constant and painful. It shows up at 2 a.m. when she can't sleep. It shows up when she's with someone new and realizes they'll never know her the way you did. It shows up when she's happy and wishes you were there to share it. It shows up everywhere. And the only reason it exists is because you're not there anymore. But here's where most guys mess it up. They think regret equals reconciliation. They think if she's feeling this, she'll come back, and maybe she will. But that's not the point. The point is that her regret doesn't owe you anything. It doesn't erase what happened. It doesn't guarantee change. It's just a feeling, a painful human feeling that she has to sit with. And whether or not she reaches out, whether or not she tries to rebuild, whether or not she admits any of this to you, none of that determines your worth. You're not waiting for her regret to validate you. You're building a life so solid that her regret becomes irrelevant. And that's the shift. That's the psychological edge. Because when you're no longer attached to her reaction, when you're no longer measuring your healing by whether or not she comes back, you've already won. Not over her, over yourself, over the version of you that needed her to feel whole. And that brings us to stage 7, acceptance or action. One of two things happens here. Either she accepts that it's over, that you've moved on, that the chapter is closed, and she begins her own real healing, or she acts. She reaches out. She tries to reconnect. She admits she was wrong, that she misses you, that she wants to try again. And both of these are valid. Both of these are possible. But here's the key. You don't get to control which one happens. You don't get to force her into action. You don't get to manipulate her into regret. All you get to control is you, your energy, your growth, your boundaries, your direction. And if she comes back, you get to decide if that's even what you still want. Because here's the uncomfortable truth no one talks about. Sometimes by the time she's ready, you're not anymore. Sometimes the growth you experience during no contact changes you so fundamentally that the relationship you once wanted doesn't fit the person you've become. And that's not sad. That's not a loss. That's evolution. That's you becoming someone who doesn't need a specific person to feel valuable, who doesn't need external validation to know they're worth staying for, who doesn't need regret from someone else to feel confident in their own decisions. You become the kind of person who walks into a room and doesn't scan it for approval, who builds a life so compelling that people are drawn to it without you chasing, who loves themselves so completely that being chosen or not chosen by someone else doesn't shake their foundation. That's the goal. That's the real work. That's what no contact is actually for. Not to get her back, but to get yourself back. Let me paint you a picture. There's a version of you that exists 6 months from now, maybe a year. This version of you wakes up with purpose, not because someone's waiting for you, but because you've built something worth waking up for. You've got a routine that serves you. You're in shape, not for validation, but because discipline feels better than regret. You're reading, learning, investing in skills that make you sharper, more capable, more confident. You've cut out the noise, the people who drain you, the habits that numb you, the distractions that keep you small. You've built a life that reflects the respect you have for yourself. And people notice, not because you're performing, but because you're different. There's a calm about you, a groundedness. You don't need to prove anything because you've already proven it to yourself. And here's what happens. She sees it, maybe directly, maybe through someone else, maybe she just feels it in the air and it throws her because this version of you doesn't need her. This version of you isn't bitter or broken or waiting by the phone. This version of you has moved on, not out of spite, not out of pride, but out of genuine growth. And that hits harder than anything you could have said because now she's looking at the man she left and he's not that man anymore. He's better, stronger, more whole. And she realizes, maybe too late, that she wasn't the one who made him that way. He did. And that regret, that nostalgia, that concern, it all comes rushing back. But this time it's laced with respect because you're not the guy who chased. You're the guy who chose himself. And that choice, that's the most attractive thing you could have ever done. But let's be clear, this isn't about revenge. This isn't about making her feel bad so you can feel good. This is about you becoming the kind of person you're proud to be, regardless of who's watching, because if she never feels regret, if she never looks back, if she moves on and never thinks about you again, you still win. Because you're not building this life for her reaction. You're building it for your future, for the relationships you'll have that are healthier, for the respect you'll command because you've earned it, for the peace you'll feel because you stopped outsourcing your worth to people who couldn't see it. That's the real transformation. That's what no contact teaches you when you do it right. It's not a strategy. It's a reclamation of your time, your energy, your identity, your future. So if you're sitting there wondering what stage she's in, wondering if she's thinking about you, wondering if the silence is working, stop. Stop giving her that power. Stop waiting for her regret to make you feel whole. Because your healing isn't tied to her timeline, your growth isn't dependent on her realization, your value isn't determined by whether or not she comes back. You are enough right now as you are. And the work you're doing, the silence you're holding, the discipline you're building, that's not for her, that's for you. And when you truly understand that, when that truth sinks into your bones and changes the way you move through the world, everything shifts. She might come back, she might not, but by then it won't matter the way it used to because you'll be too busy becoming the man you were always capable of being. And if you're ready to fully commit to that version of yourself, if you're done with the half measures and the distractions and the endless loops of doubt, then subscribe. Join a community of people who've chosen growth over comfort, clarity over chaos, discipline over distraction. This isn't about quick fixes. This isn't about tricks or games. This is about doing the real work, the uncomfortable, unglamorous, deeply transformative work that most people avoid their entire lives. And if you're here, if you've made it this far, if you're still listening, then you're already different. You've already chosen the harder path. And that choice, that single decision to invest in yourself when it would be easier to just stay stuck. That's the beginning of everything. Don't waste it. Don't shrink back. Don't second guess us. Keep going. You're closer than